Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Portland Public Schools Parent University College Admissions Webinar. My name is Maureen Clancy. I work in the multilingual office. I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Doyle, our guidance counselor at Casco Bay High School.
Great. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you all for being here. We're really grateful to have this opportunity. And on behalf of Portland High School and Deering High School and Casco Bay High School, we welcome you here. Also want to say thank you so much to our interpreters for taking the time tonight to be here and join us. Maureen, thank you for setting this up. We are grateful for your services as well. So thank you. And I feel like tonight is one of the first evenings of fall, so I hope everyone has a blanket around them tonight. We are grateful for our partnership with the colleges and universities in Maine, and we value our relationships with them and are so thankful that they are taking the time to join us tonight. Thank PJ Singh from USM. PJ, you want to wave? All right, thank you. Sarah Thurston from Southern Maine Community College. Taylor Ward from the University of Maine. And Catherine Stegemann from Bowdoin College. I'm going to turn it over to Libby at this time, and thank you all for joining us. We hope you find this to be helpful. If you have questions after this, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. More than happy to connect you in any way possible. All right, Libby, I will pass it to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So the way we'll run tonight's panel is that we'll ask each of the five panelists, or each of the four panelists, each of the five panelists will answer, each of the four panelists will answer one of five questions with an eye to how their institutions and similar institutions of similar type handle the issue. Then we'll ask each of the panelists one individual question. So the first question that we're going to ask is, for your college and other colleges like yours, what are the most important pieces of the application for admission and the application for financial aid? And could we start, please, with Taylor Ward from the University of Maine?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And it's so wonderful to be able to connect in this way. So I'm here representing the University of Maine and the University of Maine Machias, our regional campus. So in terms of our application process and a lot of flagships in New England and in this country, we're looking really closely at your high school transcript, the courses that you've taken, the grades you've received, as well as your essay. When students ask me, what do you look for in an essay? It's one of our only opportunities to get to know you a lot of the time. So use that opportunity. It's really important, as well as your recommendations. If there is somebody who can speak to who you are, ask them for a recommendation. Those go so far for us. We are not looking for test scores this year. So in terms of the application, it's really important for us to have as much information about you as you're able to give us. On a lot of applications, there's a little box that says additional information. I always encourage students to use that. If there's something that you want to tell us, that's a great place for you to do that. In terms of financial aid, we only look for your FAFSA, which is your free application for federal student aid. So that FAFSA opens October 1st, tomorrow, and that's a really important document. Some students might be selected for a process called verification, which is just looking for additional documentation, and the university and any university will be communicating with you via email as well as mail to let you know what documents we'll be looking for.
Thank you, Taylor. PJ Singh from the University of Southern Maine, would you respond to the same question for your colleges, for your college and colleges like yours? What are the most important pieces of the application for admission and for financial aid?
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us. So like my colleague Taylor has just mentioned and has done a great job sharing the information, at University of Southern Maine, schools similar to us, I would say, the two most important things are the application and the transcript. Getting to know the student and specifically relationship between peers, staff and student, coaches and student would come through the recommendation letters. The essay, as Taylor mentioned earlier, is one of the best ways for us to get to know the student. We always say we want to build connections or relationship with the student we're recruiting. So the essay is a way for the student to kind of share who they are and their specialness, I will call it, with us. But most important things that come after the application and all these materials, especially in the University of Maine system, and I'm sure at other schools, is an account. Every student gets an account. Email, something that creates a platform for the student to be able to communicate with the rest of the university, because you have to remember, you're not just communicating with admissions, but you will be communicating with financial aid, maybe faculty members, a visit and events coordinator, ambassadors, and more. So activating your email account is very important. Some institutions, such as USM, are doing away with mailing paper, financial aid offers or stuff like that. So keeping an eye on your email is probably one of the more important things to do, where you'll be receiving communication in regard to financial aid. Sometimes there are documents you need to submit to get your financial aid package, verification forms, etc. You do not know that unless you are looking in your email and your account. And I think one last bit of advice would be to get everything done early. Federal aid is kind of a first come, first serve. Some institutions have funds that they're able to award students early on. So the sooner you apply, the better. Merit awards, financial aid through federal or grants through the university or state all matter and are time-based. So if you do fall behind, I think, there are enough people in this Zoom call and at the school that are willing to help. So definitely please ask. We're all approachable and we're here to serve you. Thank you.
Libby, I saw someone had their hand raised. I just wanted to remind the participants to use the Q&A if you can to ask your question. So please try that before we open that up. Thank you.
Sarah Thurston from SMCC, Southern Maine Community College. Will you let us know what the most important pieces of the admissions application and financial aid applications are from your perspective?
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here tonight. Yes, I'm here from Southern Maine Community College, which is located right across the Casco Bay Bridge in South Portland, right on the beach. So at SMCC and other community colleges, we're really all about accessibility and making the college admissions process as barrier-free as possible. So our application is super easy. It's online, it's free, should only take you about 15 minutes to fill out. We do not require any letters of recommendation or any essays. All we need for you to get to us after you fill out that application is your high school transcript with a GPA. And that's it. So we have rolling admission, which means that you can actually apply right up until classes start. However, it is important, if you want to get the best pick of classes and sign up for housing, to do it sooner rather than later. So registration for the fall will begin in March. So, you can try to get your application in maybe by March 1st, just so you're all set to register. But you don't have to wait that long. You can apply tonight if you want. We'd love to have your application sooner rather than later. And then as far as financial aid, I'm going to kind of echo what my colleagues from the other schools have said. Get going on that FAFSA. That's all we need as well. And it's a little bit of a tricky process, and it can take some time. So getting started on it sooner rather than later is good. And I'm going to also echo, check your email. We do send a lot of things through email. If we need something else from you, if maybe we didn't get your transcript, we'll send you an email maybe to let you know that. So just make sure you're checking your email and taking advantage of the SMCC portal when you have access to it, which you will after you apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And Catherine Stegemann from Bowdoin College, could you tell us what the most important pieces of the application and financial aid applications are?
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Catherine Stegemann. I'm from Bowdoin College in Brunswick. We are, like many liberal arts colleges, holistic in our review. So we look at every piece of the application that you send us. We spend the most amount of time with your transcript to understand how rigorous your courses have been in high school. Bowdoin is a challenging academic environment, and we want to make sure that you're ready for the rigor that you'll face at our institution. And the best way to prepare for a college like Bowdoin is to try some accelerated classes, whether those are AP or honors, or taking the honors option if that's what your school offers. And we're going to look for those on your transcript. Bowdoin is test optional, so we do not require a standardized test score for admission. And we look at all of the materials that you'll send to us, including your essay and your recommendations, to look at your ability to join our community. So it really is all the pieces that are important to us in the application. For our student aid, it's a little bit different. We have a $50 million financial aid budget. That's what we spend each year. It is not as first come, first serve. We meet 100% of your family's need for all 4 years of your time at Bowdoin. Additionally, we will waive the application fee if you're applying for aid at Bowdoin, and if you're the first in your family to attend college. We require both the FAFSA and the CSS profile in order to assess your family's ability to pay the cost of attendance at Bowdoin. This year, the average cost of attendance for our students on aid, the average aid award at Bowdoin is almost $55,000 a year. That's the average aid that we're giving to students. So we're intent on making Bowdoin as accessible as possible.
That's great. Thank you so much, Catherine. For our second question, and PJ, maybe you could answer this one first. Why is attending a college in Maine an important option for Portland students to seriously consider?
Thank you. This question is, I guess it hits home for me a lot. When I was thinking about answering this question, I thought of the very obvious answers, which include affordability. You're going to, as a public institution at USM, University of Southern Maine is part of the public university system of Maine. So affordability is first and foremost one of the primary. The location, different parts of Maine offer different careers and stuff like that. But at least at Southern Maine, I would say the diversity and continuous growth in the economy is important for our students to think about. But as I reflected, I'm a graduate of the University of Maine System Schools too, and I came from Ghana, West Africa. So to get my education in Maine is always something, and I stayed in Maine to give back. So as I reflect on this answer, I think one of the most important things I would share is that for any student from the Portland public school system is to think about the positive impact they would have in the state of Maine by staying here and getting their education and just making Maine, a better place to be and being involved in their communities. So, I think at the end of the day, we can talk about affordability. We can talk about the quality education. I didn't even mention that the quality of education in Maine. We have private liberal arts schools. We have our community colleges. We have the four-year publics. So there's a lot to offer in Maine. And sometimes, what's in your, when they say the grass is greener on the other side, I think sometimes we need to kind of reflect a little bit on how we want to approach where we want to go to school or whatever. So the bigger picture is being a positive impact to your community because of what you're going to get out of your education, your quality education in Maine.
Thank you. Well said. Hear, hear. And Sarah Thurston from SMCC, can you respond to the same question? Why is it important for us to consider Maine colleges?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Maine has a lot of really great schools, wonderful schools. 4 of them are represented here tonight. And as a Maine resident, as PJ kind of touched on, you will likely end up paying much less no matter where you go in the state. And you're not going to be saddled with that debt when you get out. And Maine has a little bit of a labor shortage right now. So we need those smart, hardworking individuals to stay in Maine and add to the economy and to our workforce and make Maine an even better place. And lastly, and I have no scientific proof of this, my proof is purely anecdotal, but I find that people always come back to Maine. They leave and they go elsewhere and then they find themselves back here. So don't waste the time and the money like I did, leaving for a little bit, only to come back. Just stay, go to school, and then, continue on making Maine a really great place to be. Thank you.
That's awesome. And Catherine Stegemann from Bowdoin College, can you respond to the same? Why should Portland kids consider Maine colleges?
I also grew up in Maine, and I think Maine students feel like they have to leave Maine to have experiences that they don't think they can have here. In reality, Maine is, dealing with a lot of the same issues as many other parts of the country. And I think a lot of the schools in state have the kinds of resources to work on those problems. You don't have to leave to find them. We're blessed with so many incredible institutions here. And we're also lucky that many other students come to Maine for their education. So you can meet students from literally all over the world here. 10% of our students at Bowdoin are from Maine. The rest are from all 50 states, 40 countries. So there are lots of opportunities to engage with other people that I know Mainers tend to want to do that. And they feel like they have to leave Maine in order to get that experience. And I'm really glad I stayed in Maine for my education, just like PJ, and feel very lucky to live here as an adult. So just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's less than in terms of the kind of education and opportunity that you can have in college.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you very much. And Taylor Ward from the University of Maine, can you respond to the same why stay here?
I love this question. I am from right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I toured the University of Maine, and my college search effectively ended. And you are so fortunate to have so many schools to choose from in the state of Maine, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's a big school, a small school, a community college, a city, more rural, in the middle of the woods, near skiing, near the beach, whatever you are looking for, you have those opportunities staying in Maine. You have all of those types of schools. And that is what is so incredibly important about taking campus tours. Additionally, as it was stated, there is a labor shortage. I know that for every engineer that we graduate, they have 3 to 5 job offers. Same with computer science and nursing. And even it doesn't matter what you want to study. The state of Maine needs students. And starting your education, speaking from the public side of things in our University of Maine system, our departments, our colleges, and our faculty have relationships with the industry because we are the public research institution and we have research on all of our campuses. So our students have a direct pathway and a direct line to really good jobs that they are starting sometimes in their sophomore, junior, senior year for internships and co-ops. And I spent some time at a different flagship while my husband got his master's, and those relationships are not common. And that's on every campus in the state of Maine, where we have direct relationships with industry partners that are going to be instrumental in getting you the job and the career and the path that you are looking for.
Thank you very much. For our third question, I think most of you have touched on this already. So maybe just very briefly, can you tell us what role does standardized testing, such as the SAT test, play in your admissions decisions? And we'll start this off with Sarah Thurston from SMCC.
Sure. So yeah, testing plays absolutely no role in our admissions process. We use your GPA to place you in English and math courses. So the only way that testing could come into the picture is if you don't feel that your high school GPA reflects your ability in English and math, and you choose to take the free AccuPlacer test to try to bump up where you're placed. But it has nothing to do with the admissions decision. So in other words, your GPA might place you in a developmental English or math class, but you think you can handle starting out in college level, then you could choose to take the AccuPlacer test to see if you can test into that level, but it's not required. And we do find actually that the high school GPA is a pretty good indicator of where you should be placed.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. And Catherine, can you tell us about that? Catherine from Bowdoin. What role SATs play at Bowdoin, at your college and similar colleges?
Many liberal arts colleges are now test optional. Bowdoin was the first test optional college in this country in 1969. So that means that we do not require a standardized test score for admission. Many other colleges and universities, because of the pandemic, have also gone test optional. So that means that an SAT or an ACT are not required for admission.
Thank you. And Taylor Ward from the University of Maine.
We are 100% test optional, which we're very excited about. Students who choose to submit test scores, we will only review them if they help you. And if not, it is not going to impact your decision at all. So it is completely test optional for all programs.
That's great. Thank you. And PJ Seng from USM. What's testing like there?
Yes, we do not require test scores. We're test optional as well. Historically, we used to require it for the nursing program. As of 2020, that was also removed as a requirement. So, I I always recommend to students I work with or families, I'm like, please, I don't need those. We don't need them. Don't send it. It doesn't affect your scholarship. There's a misconception sometimes that the SATs are required for scholarship. Not at all. We're looking at your high school GPA to make that determination. Great news.
Yeah, thank you so much. For our fourth question, and we'll start this off with Catherine Stegemann from Bowdoin. What's the best piece of advice you can offer juniors and seniors in high school?
Keep an open mind for both juniors and seniors. You're going to change your mind a lot in the next 2 years. So you might think right now, you know exactly what it is you want to study and where you want to go. However, we've seen how much the world has changed in the last 2 years. So it's important to keep an open mind about course of study, the kind of school you want to go to, and to listen to the experts more than you listen to your friends about what is the right place for you. So that's my advice.
Thanks. That's good advice. Thank you very much. And Taylor Ward from Umaine, what's your best piece of advice?
To stay organized and check your emails. I always recommend students start a spreadsheet, and it has the school name, it has application deadlines, it has scholarship deadlines, important contact information, all of these things, because there are deadlines, and students who don't meet those deadlines oftentimes can lose out on scholarship opportunities, and that is awful. So staying organized with a spreadsheet. Additionally, do not be afraid to call or email us. It is very literally our job to help you through this process. There is no guidebook, and they're seldom, but they're different for every single school. So reaching out and using your resources in the guidance office and communicating with us. If there is a problem, if you need more aid, or you are hoping that there's a dance team, whatever it is that you need an answer for, feel free to reach out to us so that we can help support you. We are here to help guide you to find what decision is going to be the best for you. Any school on this screen in the state of Maine or wherever is best for you is our goal to help you get to what is going to be most successful for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And PJ from USM, what's your best piece of advice?
I don't know. After hearing Taylor's organized, I don't know. I'm probably gonna say, get involved. Do as much as possible. I think one of my colleagues just said something. Oh yeah, I think it was Catherine said something about, growth brings change. Mm-hmm. And not don't listen to your friends. Well, you should listen to your friends, but everyone has different choices. So get involved. You are unique You are special. Therefore, your interests lead you down your path. Ask questions, and most importantly, tell us more. We want to get to know you, because at the end of the day, this is your college experience. You need to be able to tell us what, as professionals, we can kind of guide you. We're not going to steer you into the wrong direction, but the more we know, the better we can assist you in your plans for your 4 years or further. So tell us more and get involved. And that's also in your college experience. I played soccer. Coming from Ghana, I played soccer in college, and I went to class, and I haven't ice fished. I haven't skied. I just started doing hiking and exploring the lighthouses of Maine, and I feel like I'm 20 years behind, so take advantage of the awesomeness around you.
Thank you. Sarah Thurston, what's your best piece of advice for our juniors and seniors?
Sure. So community colleges are generally considered, not overly difficult schools to get into, because they're not. We want to make the process as streamlined and accessible as we can. But once you're here, it's college. It is college level classes. So make the most out of high school while you can, in order to prepare yourself for that level of education. So whether it's, taking the harder English class or the 4th year of math or whatever it might be, do what you can now, because there's nothing easy about the actual college level classes that you'll be taking. It's just that we make the process easy to get here. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Such good advice, you guys. Thank you so much. I didn't realize what a great question that was going to be. I learned a lot. Thank you. Okay, so for our last everybody question, about the pandemic. And this time, let's start with Taylor Ward from Umaine. Taylor, how has the pandemic affected your admissions process?
In every single way. I think one of the silver linings is that we are test optional. I think that's really an incredible opportunity for students. What I would say is we have realized how important the community feel of being together is. We didn't understand how important that was. And it created opportunities for us to communicate with students on a more one-on-one basis. And we will never go back to not finding ways to communicate. It forced us to look at scholarships in a different way, and not base it on a test score. And it really forced us to look more at an individual student, not just grades and SAT scores. So we're really excited to be able to more holistically review applications.
Great. Thank you so much. PJ, how has the pandemic affected the admissions process at USM?
I think one of the first things that happened, which everyone faced, was going virtual. So in the past, I remember high school counselors very easily being able to contact me and saying, PJ, can you come down to the high school? We have a student that you could chat with. And that kind of just went out the window. So it became very virtual. And so that was one of the first things that I would say changed, is how we could connect with families and students, counselors as well. So that, and then maybe the other thing, for instance, with nursing becoming totally 100% test optional, is the second change, I would say, at USM's admissions process for students. That was a positive impact. as far as I'm concerned. So those are some slight changes that happened. What we have learned, though, is that, with these changes, we are better, I'll say, equipped to assist our students and their families, because now, their families tonight, hopefully they got completed with their jobs, they've had supper, and now they're joining us. So we're able to serve our students better, if that makes sense. So that's why I do this job, is so that I can assist. So I think that's a positive impact that has changed the admissions process, and we're slowly going back to normal, fingers crossed. But I think this is here to stay, and we will continue to serve our students and families to the best of our ability.
I'm sure you will. Thank you. Sarah Thurston from SMCC.
Sure. So, I would echo, again, what my colleagues have said. As much as being on Zoom all the time has definitely been tiring, it has really opened up our ability to connect with more students across the state and New England. We have a very small admissions office. We're a little different than some of the larger colleges that will have multiple admissions counselors doing traveling and things like that. You're looking at who does the traveling primarily for SMCC. So having the ability to do things virtually, I can connect with somebody in Caribou without having to drive 5 hours to Caribou, for example. So it really opens up the options that schools have for connecting with us. And I think that we'll continue to do that even when things are, quote unquote normal. And then again, just that biggest change is that we no longer require any testing in order to accept or place students. And that choice was driven by the pandemic, but is going to continue as we move forward. So.
Great. Thank you very much. And Catherine Stegemann from Bowdoin, how's the pandemic affected the admissions process at your school?
I think for us, the biggest change was how we looked at a student's interaction with their community. So what were their activities that they had before the pandemic, and how did that change when we went into lockdown? So we want students at Bowdoin who are involved in school and in their communities. And we had to open that up to interpretation when we started looking at applications, and we'll continue to do that this year. So we were seeing a lot more things like helping younger siblings with their schoolwork, becoming essential workers, grocery shopping for neighbors or grandparents who were vulnerable. And those things had an impact on us. And so I think we've become much more open to what a student's activity list looks like and what it ought to look like as we move forward. The other big change happened at Bowdoin, and that is similar to what other schools have said. Our process became much more accessible. So everything is online now. All of our information sessions, our tours, our interviews, so that we can reach families where they are, as opposed to before when they had to come to campus to do that. So with an eye towards accessibility and equity in how we engage with students, everything will continue online. And in person, we're slowly opening back up, but we'll never let go of the virtual because we were able to connect with so many more families.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much. So for the next part, I'm going to ask each school to respond to just one question, and then hopefully we'll have a few minutes at the end to double back on any questions that people have or that might be in the chat and yet unanswered. We'll start with PJ. In what ways does your college help students afford college? And do you have any advice for how students can help afford college themselves?
Yes, thank you. So University of Southern Maine is in the last 5 years, probably I was going to say 6 now, where 2020 has been a little bit of a challenge, has been 18% below student debt on the national scale. So one of our biggest goals here is, I think one of my colleagues used the word barriers. So we're trying to make four-year college accessible to students. Therefore, we have merit scholarships, we have donor scholarships, which are scholarships based on, private donors saying, if you're interested in engineering and are from a Portland public school system, you can receive X amount of dollars. We have scholarships for access. So we know that we have immigrants in Maine. So providing education to our students in this community, who may not qualify for financial aid, for instance, we have that. There's a scholarship for first-generation students. That means your parents have not graduated from a four-year institution. That is called the Promise Scholarship. In addition to your merit and financial aid, this is a $10,000 scholarship you could be receiving. And I'm always promoting this to the students I work with or others. There's a lot. We have scholarships within our office that we try to award students based on what their extracurricular activities look like. And many times, we look for students who want to ask and say, is there more I can do? Or if a student earns a higher GPA, we don't just make one offer and say that's it. We try to help students as much as we can, families. We always encourage families to get in touch with our financial aid office. Every student at USM, an applicant, is assigned an admissions counselor first and foremost, and then a financial aid counselor who works, they're categorized by last name. So they'll work with you and kind of assist you through the process. And then there's the advisor. So we've tried to do that. And we also have promoted heavily on our curriculum and working. So not just making college affordable, but the ultimate goal is getting a job. So the curriculum includes internships and then potential jobs in the future. So once you graduate with very little to no debt, you have a job and can now support your families. I think Catherine mentioned something about, students taking care of siblings and others. So that's something that we look at too. Apply if you're a junior. Start looking at scholarships right now. There's scholarships out there for all sorts of background. So there are religious scholarships, heritage scholarships, major specific scholarships, and not just at our institution, just in the general public. So talk to your, sorry to put this back on the guidance counselors at the high schools, but talk to your guidance counselor. Sometimes there are scholarships at the high schools that they can share information with you too. So I'll stop talking.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Thank you so much. And so the next question is for Catherine Stegemann. What do you want to come through on the college application that you read?
We're looking for two things. First, we're looking for highly motivated students who love to learn. That looks like a lot of different things, depending on who you are and what your interests are. But again, Bowdoin is a highly rigorous undergraduate experience, and our students love that. They enjoy the challenge of their classes and of working with their faculty. The second thing that we look for is what we call heart. That's a little bit harder to quantify, but we want students who care about other people, who care about their community, and who have an awareness beyond themselves. At Bowdoin, we like to say, it's not us against each other, but it's us against the problem. So we're looking for students who want to work together to solve, big challenges here in Maine and in the world. And we've found the best, way to do that is to find students who care about others. I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you. That's great. So Taylor Ward, how important is the COVID-19 question on the Common App for Umaine?
I tried to touch on this earlier. It's really important because there's not one of us who hasn't been impacted through this pandemic in some way. And that question gives you a really great opportunity to let us know. Maybe remote learning wasn't the best modality for you. Or maybe you had somebody in your household who got sick and you had to care for them, or you needed to take a job to help support family and friends, and that might have impacted your grades. But if you give us that information and you show us that you overcame this incredible challenge and you became a stronger, better person despite those challenges, we can help. We can take that information and say, okay, that's why that grade wasn't so great, but look how they bounced back. Look how this student overcame that challenge. And that COVID question is a great opportunity to give us that information. Because if we're just looking at your transcript and we see that maybe one semester didn't go so well, I don't know why. But if we know why, we can use that information to help give you as much money as we can and put you in the program that you're going to be the most successful in. So it's a really important question.
Thank you so much. The last question is for Sarah Thurston. What are the advantages of attending SMCC?
I love this question because there are many advantages to attending SMCC. For starters, you can get the college experience for a fraction of the cost. SMCC has a beautiful campus on the beach with dorms and athletics and clubs and organizations. And for an in-state student, tuition and fees is $3,880 per year. That's per year, not per semester. And if you want to live on campus, that does add about $10,000. So the total cost would still only be about $14,000 per year. Now, I totally understand that $14,000 is not nothing. It's still a lot of money. But compared to other state and private institutions where you could be looking at paying anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 per year, it's a much more affordable option. And if your ultimate goal is to get a bachelor's degree, that is such an awesome goal to have. But you can always do your first 2 years with us or another community college, and then transfer those credits on and do your last 2 years at the four-year college. When you graduate with that bachelor's degree, you're going to be standing on that stage with the same degree as everybody else, but you will owe a whole lot less because you did your first 2 years with us at the community college level. So that's one huge thing, is that there is a common misconception that you can't get that college experience at a community college, and you absolutely can at SMCC. And then lastly, SMCC has a number of liberal arts degrees, but we also have many degrees that maybe aren't as readily available at a four-year college. So things like automotive technology, culinary arts, plumbing and heating, precision machining, hospitality management, cardiovascular technology, respiratory therapy, and many others, things that are very unique to the community college system. So yeah, it's a great place to be, and we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I understand from the chat that there are two questions that would be good for everyone to hear the answers to. Lori, do you have those questions?
Sure. Yeah. Two questions that were for all the schools. The first one was, what types of opportunities do you have for high school students to experience your school? As an example, Umaine's Consider Engineering program, where students can take a class. And since they're for everyone, we can perhaps do both at once briefly. The other question is for every university. When I think about choosing a university, I would love to hear what is something that you have to offer that would highlight your college, a class, or some other type of thing. So if we want to have our panelists jump in and answer that, maybe we could start with PJ.
All right, so there's quite a few options. I think one was mentioned is early or dual enrollment. You can also explore the visit options that we have. So I will speak for my university. I know others have similar, if not more or less, but if you look at the University of Southern Maine's website and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a Visit USM link. Click on that. It has multiple options, and different stages of your admissions process offer you options. So if you're admitted, you may have the opportunity to shadow a Husky, which means we pair you up with a student on our campus and you spend the day as if you were a USM student. Obviously, this mostly happens in the spring, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this will happen in the future, but those are just some of the options that you have. Obviously, I know some of my colleagues have open houses and different things like that too. USM does not do overnight visits at this time. Athletics, if you're involved in athletics, I would say, I also serve as an assistant soccer coach, so I would just say, be in touch with the athletic coach that you're working with, and they might have an option for you as well. So there's a lot of different options that you can experience. You just need to speak with admissions and or other departments. I'll let someone else ask. Oh wait, there was one more.
Yeah, anything you want to highlight about USM?
Oh yes, absolutely. Research. We are research heavy, and I would always say there's not really one class. We have 54 different majors. So, I would say if you want to experience a program and get, I don't like to say hands-on, but an experiential education somewhere where you're doing while you're studying, USM is a great platform for you to do that. We're getting a lot of money from donors. If you have seen recently in the news, we got $10 million for music. In years past, we keep getting money for our engineering programs. Our business program is internationally ranked. So there's a lot. And if you want to do while studying it, it's very important. Sports management is another one, with all the professional sports teams being in Southern Maine. So yeah, doing and learning, I would say, are the big things we do, research and STEM. Thanks.
Great. And mindful of the time, just wanting to put it to, let's see, Catherine, would you want to say anything about opportunities for students to experience your school, or something you'd like to highlight?
Right now, our opportunities to be on our campus are limited to an admissions visit. Hopefully that will change as we move forward. And we'd love to welcome students back to visit a classroom or stay overnight. Maybe next year, we're keeping our fingers crossed. Our career exploration office is a really important part of Bowdoin. We bring 130 different employers to campus to recruit our students. Employers like Google, Apple, Morgan Stanley, LL Bean, and organizations like that. So if you're thinking you'll never be able to work in Silicon Valley if you go to college in Maine, it's just not true. We have quite a pipeline to national, international employers right here at Bowdoin.
Excellent. And Taylor, is there anything you wanted to add about Umaine?
Yes. So in terms of visit options, consider engineering as a great overnight. We have a lot of camps throughout the summer as well in terms of upcoming events and campus tours. We are Maine's flagship research institution. We have over $137 million that come in annually for student research opportunities. We have all of those things and 9,000 undergraduate students, which I know sounds big, but in terms of those big state flagships, we are tiny. Most have 30 to 60,000. So we have all of the opportunities. We are a Division I school. You've got the research, you've got those opportunities, but you aren't competing with 50,000 other students for them. They're there for you. And that is what is exciting. And I think I'd be remiss to not talk about the University of Maine Machias, our regional campus, which I cannot even articulate how incredible your faculty relationship will be. And it is hands-on, and it's not even hands-on. It's like knee deep, literally on the coast in Machias, getting your hands dirty. And they have an 11-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio with 650 students. They are the most affordable four-year flagship or a four-year institution in Maine. So the University of Maine and the University of Maine Machias have a world of opportunities for you. And don't think you know everything about these schools in Maine. Come visit us and see for yourself how much we have to offer.
And Sarah, anything about SMCC you'd like to highlight?
Sure. So we are currently giving tours, so you can sign up on our website to come for a tour of campus. And we also we are not having an open house this fall. We may have one in the spring, so that could be an option in the spring as well. And you're so close by, you could literally just drive across the bridge and come check it out if you want to. And then as far as things that are kind of unique and cool to SMCC, because we have so many technical based majors, we have a lot of hands-on learning. So I always like to highlight the fact that our hospitality management students and our culinary students get real world experience right off the bat, because our campus is located, as you can see behind me, in a very beautiful location. A lot of people use our campus for weddings, events, things like that. And we actually have a working hotel on our campus that's a small inn, and we also cater events. So our hospitality students and our culinary students get to work in a hotel, they get to cater events, they get to do things that give them real hands-on experience of what their, careers are going to be like after they graduate. Similar type of thing for, automotive. Our automotive program is housed in this huge working garage, essentially. So there's so many opportunities for that hands-on learning at SMCC.
Thank you. I think there is one final question that was outstanding. And it was from a parent who was asking actually, what opportunities do your schools offer, if any, that an adult might be able to take advantage of to, strengthen their English language skills? If anyone wants to jump in on that.
I can jump in quickly.
Yeah, thanks.
We do have a couple programs. We do also work with adult education centers and other programs, but at USSTEM, we have an intensive English program, and also tied with that department is also an English for speakers of other languages. So it's ESOL. And I always have to reiterate, it's not ESL, it's ESOL, English for speakers of other languages, and they work with any student really who needs to get better at writing or anything of that sort. Again, every student is unique and their situation is special. So, I would recommend the student getting in touch with me, and then I can connect them with my colleagues, or it may even be a situation where we can, I don't know. I find that a lot of times students feel like they're not great at English, but they are. I had one student speaking to me in English the whole time, telling me she couldn't speak in English. So I always feel like that connection with the family and the student is important before we guide them on the next step. So I'll put my email in the chat, and families can feel free to reach out, and we can work.
I want to just add on to that as well. The University of Maine has something called the Intensive English Institute as well. There is a lot of scholarships available. I'm going to put the link to that right in the chat. We have an entire department called the Division of Lifelong Learners. The DLL, as we call it, is sort of the feeling the whole campus has. We want you to be a lifelong learner. So there are plenty of classes in adult education that Umaine offers, but the Intensive English Institute is really special, and there are scholarships for students, for adults. It doesn't matter. Lots of good opportunities. Rebecca Rand, whose contact information is right at that link, is perfect to help you out with that.
Great. I don't see anything else coming up in the chat right now. Stephanie, would you like to wrap us up tonight?
Absolutely. Again, just thank you all for joining us. Thank you to all of our Umaine partners. We really appreciate you taking the time and being so honest with all of us. So thank you. Thank you to the interpreters once again. Very much appreciate all of you. I know it's late on a Thursday evening, so thank you. And Maureen, see your little tennis ball there. Thank you for helping to set that up. Thank you. So I hope everyone has a great night. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. If you have any questions, love to talk more about anything that is on your minds and how we can support you and your students. So thank you. Libby, Lori, anything, Johanna, anything else you'd like to share?
I'd like to just say my one takeaway here was that these are the I want to thank so much all of the admissions counselors and the interpreters to make this happen. Thank you for everyone who attended, and please encourage your students to see your counselor, because we enjoy a great connection with all of these tremendous admissions counselors, and you have good questions to ask. So please come ask us and let us get to know you better, and we can introduce you to your admissions counselors. So thanks everyone for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.